Hey there, bookkeeper friends. I'm Lynn Talbott, your bookkeeper coach. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about running a virtual firm. And there's two parts to this series. The first part is going to be talking about how to how to lead your team. And then the second part will be how to manage clients. So let's dive into how to lead a virtual team. So times have changed. People want to work virtually, and it's amazing how much more work my clients could do when they worked virtually. So if you're scared of having people trying to manage people working virtually, yeah, there's some tips and maybe tricks that you can learn from this video that might help you scale. So if you're a bookkeeper, maybe you're an independent bookkeeper and clients are just coming to you, you're starting to get kind of filled up and overloaded, it might be time to have your first hire. And more than likely that first hire is going to be a virtual, it's going to be virtually. You might have a VA, you might have an employee that already knows QuickBooks or somebody that you're training. But think about how are you going to develop your leadership skills? So that's one of the things that maybe isn't taught in the bookkeeping courses that we all took is how to be a leader and how to lead a team. So it might be time to invest in some leadership skills if you're not comfortable with that position or you've never been in a position with leadership. But just what I would do is just always think of how other people, how I would like to be treated, and I would treat them, with respect, and just totally be honest with everybody as and upfront as I could. And that always helped to alleviate any stress. So today we're going to talk about, I'm going to give you 6 tips. So the first one is to set clear expectations of success and what that looks like. So you're going to give them measurable goals. And how I did that was, here's your client. Here's the specifications of what this client needs, the client file, and here's the contract that they signed. And you are responsible for delivering on this contract. I'm going to help you. I'm going to be here, and I'm going to, be the face if you need me to be. But these are the things you need to do because each client is different, right? When you get a client, it's not just reconcile the bank account and you set up all these systems and just all your systems and processes, while they might be good, they might not be right for everybody, or every single client has an exception. That's what I found in my business, is that there would always be somebody that was sort of special, and we had to go back and create some type of process just for them, because maybe they sold items in another state and they only do it one time a year, and you've got to go file a state tax for that particular state. So there's always an exception. And so with your employees, you want to make sure they have a copy of the contract. Now, I did not mind if my employees saw what my client was paying me, because guess what? They're in the file, they're going to see it. So you might as well just be upfront with them. And then what I was paying them, they were either getting a portion of that fixed rate, or they were paying by the hour if that's the arrangements that we had made. But you're going to set out those expectations upfront with your employee. This is the contract, this is the deliverable, and this is what we need to do. And I expect you to make your own appointments, show up for your appointments. I'm not going to sit there and hold your hand. At least that's how I was. If I had to, I didn't mind holding somebody's hand the first 90 days. Absolutely. You're not going to turn them loose for the first 90 days. And then after that, you have an expectation that they be able to meet those goals, and how are you going to measure them? So you do have to establish some ways to measure those goals. And we had everyone sign in to QuickBooks Time, and they would pick the client they were working on and just work however many hours it was, clock out of that one, switch over to another one, or go on a break, whatever it might be. And that's the way I could measure how much time they were spent. But measurable goals aren't always like how much time you spent, right? It's the quality of time and the communication that they have with the client and the quality of the work. So there's other measures as well. The second thing I want to talk about is just allowing flexible schedules, because that's just the way it is now. And you're working like virtually, you've got your own business. So that's why we all did this, because we wanted to be able to be flexible. We wanted to be home. We wanted to be home. We wanted to be flexible with our schedule, be there with our kids when they needed us. And your employees expect the same thing. So I tell them, you can work whenever you want. I just need you available maybe sometime during the week, because the client's expectation is that you're going to be working generally the business hour work week and would be available to maybe answer emails, not just answering emails on the weekends or things like that. So there were some expectations like that. But I had one employee that just never worked on a Friday. Like, awesome, go for it. And she would make up that time during the week or on Saturday or Sunday. It didn't bother me. I was a results only employer. I mean, I was just like, I just care about the results and I care about you being happy and that the client's happy. If everybody's happy, I'm happy, right? So having the flexible schedules is really great. It does result in a better work-life balance for everybody. Number three is having either annual or quarterly alignment meetings with your employees. You would do that one-on-one. Now, if you have an employee that's brand new, you might want to do that weekly. You're definitely going to do that weekly for maybe the first month or two, and then kind of start stretching that out. But what I mean by alignment is you're just going to meet with them and say, how are things going? What is it that you're doing that you like or don't like? What is troubling you? Where are your pain points? And then make sure that they're comfortable with the clients. It has to be an open conversation, because if they're starting to feel like a client is not being open with them, or it's not being responsive to them, or maybe the client's being a little bit kind of nasty emails going back and forth with them. You need to know those things so that you can help your employee either correct that behavior from the client, because I don't want my clients to treat my employees that way, or be able to figure out how to manage that situation. But the alignment just means basically like, here's the goals and expectations I have aligned for you. Here's what you're doing. Are we together on that? And it will be pretty obvious when you meet. I usually let the employee take the lead. I just say, how's it going? What do you like? Tell me about each of the clients. How's your life? Are the things there you want to learn? And then one thing I'll learn from those meetings is that the the employee will tell you, hey, or you'll get the feeling that the employee is telling you, I'm not real happy with what's going on, or they'll start to feel some fidgety and try to figure out, well, do you want more clients? Do you want less clients? Would you like to be a manager? Because the worst thing you can do is make assumptions that your employee wants to advance and wants to be a manager and wants to have employees underneath them, when maybe they don't and they haven't been ready for that. Because you'll have employees with that are very ambitious, and then employees that are like, I'm totally happy just right here, love my clients, love what I'm doing, I'm relaxed, I can do it, can go do whatever I need to do, and I don't feel stressed out. So please don't give me any other clients. So you'll want to have those alignment meetings, and those are very important. I usually write down what we talked about, and I'll send it back, and we'll kind of have it back and forth about what our next year or next quarter is going to look like based on the alignment meeting. And I guess some people could call it like an employee review. And I used to do those too. They just did not feel right. They felt, I don't know, very formal. And so I would prefer to do an alignment meeting. That's what I call them. So number 4, you're going to meet one-on-one once a month with each employee. I had a group meeting once a month as well. So actually, I think we had them like every 2 weeks. It kind of depended on what was going on. So about every 2 weeks, we would have an employee meeting. And I made that mandatory. I was like, I need you on here, need to see your little face, and everybody wants to see you. And we would have a few minutes where we chatted and talked about different things, and people would say what they're doing in their area, because I had people from all over the country and some in another country. And it was nice to hear what was going on. And so also I would ask each of them to bring to the meeting something that they learned that week that they would like to share with the group. And that was probably one of the most favorite thing that everybody looked forward to. I know that I looked forward to it because I learned something every week. I was like, what? QuickBooks does what now? Wait, what? And so it was really nice to know that my employees were taking the time to learn a new skill or find out something and bring that to the meeting. So you'll have a group meeting whenever it's convenient for you. Once a month is fine. Every 2 weeks. I had about 12 to 15 employees. So every other week was good. We had a lot going on. And sometimes I would ask, hey, is anybody does anybody want a new client? I've got a couple clients coming down the pipe, and that way somebody on the call could say, yes, I'm ready for some more clients. And the other thing is meeting once a month, one-on-one with your employees, just one-on-one. So you're going to want to do that, and they can just go through the list of clients, see what's going on. Sometimes that meeting is just 15 minutes, and sometimes it's an hour, hour and a half. Usually the employee would let me know ahead of time, hey, I've got some issues I need to talk to you about, this and this client, so let's book a little bit of extra time. Because after you get to know your employees, they know that you are just there to help them and there to work with them and not there to judge them. And you just want to make sure that the whole goal is to get everything out to the client on time. Number 5, quarterly online socials. So to begin to have a great culture, to kind of get everybody together, because everybody's distant and away, and your employees are all different. They have different lives. They do different things. We try to come together and have a social maybe once a quarter, and I would let each employee, if they had an idea about a social, I'm like, great, you just run it. And they would set the time and everybody come. Not mandatory, didn't have to come. Some participated, some didn't. But we did fun things. Sometimes we'd have a glass of wine with us, and we would, play little games, or we would have all types of things. So they're fun. I think we did a scavenger hunt one time as well. So there's fun things that you can do. And what I would do is I would give away like 4 hours of PTO for like whoever won some contest that we would have. I'd say, okay, let's do that. And whoever can do this, I'll give away 4 hours of free PTO. And it was just something fun to do. So that's something that you can do, online social. You don't have to run it all. You can have your employees help to run that as well. And then lastly, if you're able to have like a company trip, just once every year, once every couple years, have your employees come to one place. What I did was I would pay for my employees to go to a conference. We really enjoyed the QuickBooks conferences and the other Scaling New Heights conference. So we would have our employees, I would fly them in and meet them. Yes, it costs a lot of money, but that was so motivational for my employees. They loved it. They learned. It's like, go and take whatever class you want. They would come back all fired up and all ready to work. And I think it really helps when an employee feels that they're special, that I'm investing in their training, and that we can all get together. So we would eat dinner every night together and just have a good time. And I would probably have maybe 4 or 5 employees join me at each of those. It wasn't always everyone. People just couldn't come because they had family obligations, or they just hadn't been with me long enough to really, be able to go. So those are my tips on the tips on, how to run a virtual firm, how to lead a virtual firm. And again, you have to be a leader. You have to want to do it. So one of the things that I like to think about running my firm is, I've got lots of systems and processes, and we had, all the password managers and all the different things that we needed to be a successful firm. So it runs on all these processes, yet it feels like a family. So that's one of the things that I wanted to get across to you today, is just running your business where it feels like a family. That might not be for everyone, but if you respect your employees and keep close contact with them, make sure that you're in tune with them. If you feel like something's off with an employee, just say, hey, it looks like you're having a bad day or a bad week, or it feels like something's not right. What's going on? And they know they can come and talk to you. So for more practical advice on how to manage and scale your bookkeeping company, hit subscribe. If you like this video, check out our podcast, The Better Bookkeeper Show, now available on Spotify or wherever you find your podcast.